So Linda and Lucy had been friends their whole lives long. They had grown up together in school. They had raised their kids together. Later, they took a lot of trips. They traveled the world together, just lifelong friends. But as they were getting older, they weren't able to do as much, or maybe they just didn't want to do as much as they used to. So they had gotten into this routine of 2 or 3 times a week. They just met in one of their houses, and they played cards. And that was just a beautiful way for them to spend time together. And one day they're doing that, and Linda gets kind of a strange look on her face, and she looks over at Lucy, and she says, "Now, I love you like a sister, and I know that you have been my best friend for all these years, but I'm having a senior moment, and right now I don't remember your name." And Lucy glares at her for about 3 minutes. And finally, she breaks the silence. She says, "How soon do you need to know that information?" Which has not much to do with what we're talking about today, but Lyle Trompler sends me these jokes by email, and I just thought, that's a good one. I've got to share that one this week. So I recently just had a milestone birthday. I turned 50 a couple weeks ago, and thank you. And I'm noticing some senior moments, and I'm only 50, so who knows what's going to happen. But anyway, God's in charge, right? I'm gaining in wisdom, but losing brain cells as we speak. So I was going through kind of cleaning up the shrine to Michael's birthday we've had, and going through the cards. Just being with every one of them. I found this one from Reverend Mindy. I forgot about it, and it kind of goes with what we're talking about today. It's Jesus on Twitter, and he's looking at his smartphone, and he's thinking, 12 followers so far, sweet. Isn't that great? So today we're talking about belief. My talk title is, What Do You Believe? Now, in a lot of churches, when they talk about believe, they're going to talk about, do you believe in the right things? What do you believe about the Bible? What do you believe about Jesus? What do you believe about these things? And that's fine. And we're not really going to focus on that. That's not really the way we hold belief, as it's just not as important to us. If you want to know more about what we believe in Unity, I invite you to go to unity.org, which is our worldwide organization, and they have some great information called What We Believe. You can go right there under the main headings, and just some great information on what we do believe about the Bible, about Jesus, and all of those things. But I'm not going to focus on that, because that's not really what we focus on in Unity. We are sometimes called practical, applied Christianity. Instead of talking about what we believe about Jesus, what we try and do is actually practice what he taught. I don't know who it was that said, "What do you think about Christianity as a religion?" He said, "I don't know. It's never been tried." Yeah, I mean, so I'm just going to leave that where it is. But that's what we try to do. We try to apply the principles taught by Jesus and other great teachers from other traditions who taught universally true things and things about living that if you take this up and practice it in your life, you will experience a different reality. A reality that is greater, more, the life abundant, as Jesus said. It's great. So in Unity, we are less concerned with what you believe in. And what we seek to do is teach you what a belief is and what a belief does, because that's where we get right into the heart of our teaching, because our beliefs govern the way we experience life, for good and for not so good. That we hold certain beliefs about what reality is, and then we experience life because of and in relationship to that belief. That's what we're really talking about today. So when I say, what do you believe? We're going to talk about what's in there. Really, what's going on that's making your life look like this? Because if you want to know what you believe, take a look at your life. I know, don't shut the doors, don't let them out. When somebody first told me that, I didn't want to stay, because I didn't want to be that responsible for my own experience. Now, we inherit a lot of these beliefs, good and bad, not only from our parents, but from the culture in general. But anyway, we'll get more into that in a moment. There's a story I want to share with you from the Bible. Jesus in the beginning of his ministry. This comes from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 5. Jesus was standing by the lake of Gennesaret. The people were crowding around him and listening to the word of God. He saw at the water's edge 2 boats left there by the fishermen who were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little from shore. Then he sat down in the boat and began to teach the people. And when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into deep water and let down the nets for a catch." And Simon answered, "Master, we've worked hard all night and we haven't caught anything, but because you say so, I will let down my nets." And when they had done so, they caught such a large number of fish that their nets began to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came, and they filled both boats so full that they both began to sink. Then Simon Peter saw this. He fell at Jesus' knees and said, "Go away from me, Lord, I am a sinful man." I thought he would say thank you, but anyway. For he and all his companions were astonished at the catch of fish they had taken. And so were James and John, the sons of Zebedee, Simon's partners. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will fish for people." So they pulled their boats up on the shore, left everything, and followed him. 4 followers, sweet. I love this story. I've known it since childhood. And I was really searching for, I don't always use a story from the Christian Bible or the Hebrew Bible, but I love these stories because they're so much a part of my life. And I was looking for what story could I talk about that might illustrate some aspect of belief as I want to share today. And this is one of them that was suggested by St. Google. And and the more I sat with it and tried it on, I thought, this is the right story. This is, as it reported to us, this is the beginning of Jesus' teaching ministry. He was just beginning. We don't know what there's some conjecture that maybe he actually studied with some Eastern folks in India during those lost years between 12 and 33. We don't know, but he had been somewhere. Some think that he may have been studying with the Essenes outside of Jerusalem, which were sort of a monastic, deeply mystical order. He had been getting some wisdom, clearly, somewhere. That if you look, even what scholars, the most skeptical historical scholars say, yeah, this guy clearly existed, and these 4 things here, and actually the other Gospels that were removed from the Bible later on, another sermon, there's some of this that is absolutely true. There was a man who taught this, and people remembered it, and they wrote some of it down. There's something here. And we know that because we have tried to apply these principles. There's something in what Jesus taught that is true. True? Yeah. I love that idea from, I think it's in Matthew 5, 6, or 7, somewhere in there, where it talks about judge not lest you be judged. With the same measure that you judge others, it'll be measured to you. He's talking about classic psychological projection. Way before Freud and Jung ever appeared on the planet. There's great wisdom in this man. And at this point, at this story today, he began to share it. And people gathered around. And so you can imagine one day he's on the beach at this, I was listening to Marianne Williamson from the Celebrate Your Life conference. She was talking about Moses dividing the Red Sea, and her mother said, you know, if Moses had not had the power to divide the Red Sea, it would have just been more Jews at the beach. So, anyway. But I digress. There were more people waiting to hear this traveling rabbi speak his wisdom, what he was understanding to be true about life, the life abundant. And he taught in stories. He taught about stories like the kingdom of heaven. It's like this. It's like this guy had 2 sons, and one, he would tell these stories, and people, they were getting great truth from it in this beautiful teaching. And there were people there that he couldn't quite get to them. So he saw the boat and thought, I'll go out onto the boat, create myself a little pulpit on the water. And he began to teach there. And Peter, or Simon, you know the story. Simon, maybe you don't know the story. Because I recognize not everyone grew up in the Christian tradition in this room right now, and that's totally great. But his name was Simon, the fisherman, and then after he began to follow Jesus, he had these great experiences. I love this guy because he was so human. Just always just trying things, making mistakes, making up for it. He reminds me a lot of somebody I know. I don't know when I say who. But Simon, sitting there in the boat with this teacher, soaking it in. He'd never heard anyone speak about the Word of God in this way. Something was moving in him. When Jesus would talk about, there is a life abundant waiting for you, the kingdom of heaven, it's not out there somewhere, it's within you. Something was lighting up in him. And so at the end of the service, how would you pass the offering from a boat? I don't know if that would work, so we're not going to try that one. Anyway, Jesus was finished, and he says to Simon, go out in deep water, lay down your nets. Now, I'm sure in that moment, Simon would have thought, listen, Mr. Carpenter teacher, I've been a fisherman my whole life. My daddy was a fisherman. My granddaddy was a fisherman. They ain't biting. Now is not the time to be fishing. We fished all night. We're tired. We've already washed our nets. We don't want it. We're not going to do that. But is that what he said? No. What did he say? He said, what did he say? Let me get back to it. Master, we've worked hard all night and haven't caught anything. But because you say so, I will let down the nets. There was something in the way Jesus was teaching that inspired something in Peter to say, there may be something possible that I can't currently get to with my senses, and I'm going to try. That's what a belief is. A belief, by definition, it's coming to a conclusion without having all the facts laid out in front of you. You can't get all the facts in front of you all the time. It's not possible. There are things that we just can't prove with our five senses. And we believe them to be true. I don't know for sure that the sun will come up tomorrow morning, but I believe that it probably will. But I don't have proof of it right in this moment, do I? But I believe, because what I know now to be true about science and the Earth's rotation and gravity and the way that the solar system is structured, and also because I've had 50 years of the sun coming up every morning, I believe that it will tomorrow morning. But in this case, this was about something that was beyond his realm of what he thought was possible. There's something greater that wants to happen, and because of this inspiration and this something is here, I'm going to step out and I'm going to try it. And he did. And he let down his nets. And then it says he was so profoundly moved by that experience that he never fished again. And he followed this teacher for the rest of his days and began a religion that has reached billions of people. Imperfect, yes. Horrible at times, yes. But that religion is the way that these teachings from this beautiful man who walked in Nazareth 2,000 years ago came to me. And I'm grateful for it. That this fisherman said, yes, I will try something I've never tried before because something wants to happen here. And that's belief. Your belief will change the way you see your world. Your belief actually determines your perception. You know that you take in far more, just talking about your eyesight, you only see 4% of the visual stimuli that it actually enters your eyes. Did you know that? 4%. You're not seeing 96% of the world all the time. It's coming in, but the brain doesn't process it. It ignores the stuff it doesn't need. Why am I talking about that? Anyway, back to belief. We filter based upon our beliefs, we see certain things and ignore other things. And we also behave based upon those beliefs and those perceptions. We choose to act and show up in our lives in certain ways. And when it's like Peter letting down his nets because there's something fabulous wanting to happen, that's a great thing. But what about when it's the other kind of belief? Did anybody grow up with a belief in scarcity? I did. There is not enough. You got to be careful with what you get and don't give it away. And if you get a chance to get any more, you better grab it because there's not enough. That kind of a belief also determines your perception and your actions. You begin to see the world through the filter of your belief system, your BS, as it's often called, yes. What? Is that an acronym for something else? Imagine that you have these like scarcity-shaped goggles over your eyes, and all of the 100% of information you're coming in, you're going to filter in part of that 4% that recognizes scarcity. You begin to see the world through those eyes, and your beliefs become confirmed by your perception and your experience. You see what you look for, but actually you see what you believe. And so, belief is powerful, and all of us, every one of us, have a whole library of false beliefs active right now. How do I know that? Because you're here, you're in a body, you're breathing, that we never heal all of everything, I think, until we're done. And maybe not, I don't know, maybe it just go on forever, for eternity. We're always experiencing growth and healing and discovery. Why not? I'm in for it. Really. I mean, the idea of the afterlife just being harps and laying around all day, no thank you. I want to continue to discover God forever, don't you? And the way we discover God is by healing false beliefs, at least in the human game. That's the way it works. The Course in Miracles says this: you respond to what you perceive, and as you perceive, so shall you behave. And what do you perceive? Based upon your belief. So if you're believing in limited, scarce life, you will take that in and you will act accordingly. I said in the first service, there is about a 4 to 6 week series just on that. But I do want to just give you one little piece of this. So that sounds like bad news, and it's not great, but it's good. Let me show you how this works. You have a belief in scarcity. You see something out there that looks like scarcity. Oh my God, things are scarce. I'm going to act accordingly. And then that is like a feedback loop. I then begin, it reinforces that belief. See, I told you so, there's not enough. And then I see scarcity, I respond accordingly, I act accordingly. It's this feedback loop. Here's the thing, you can change it. And it's not simple or easy. Actually, it is simple, it's not easy. You are a wholeness. You are spirit, mind, and body, and you can begin to make a change anywhere in there. If you can't get on with affirmations and spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, just start acting different. See what happens. Make the change in the physical. Behavior modification. I don't care, but you can begin to change that pattern in your life. Act different. Think different. Pray different. And commit to it. Commit to a path. If it's unity, great. Take a class, continue, get a prayer partner, do this work. You're not going to get it just from coming on a Sunday service. You're just not. That's just not the way it works. This changing and healing of our beliefs takes time and diligent effort, and that's why a lot of people leave. I saw somebody go, dang, I know, me too. I wanted it to be quick and easy. And it's been hard, and it's taken a long time, but I'm telling you, every step of it has revealed God in my life, and I wouldn't take nothing for my journey now. And I'm glad I'm still on it. All right. Have you seen this show called Botched? It's amazing what our culture is creating right now. Amazing. I was at the gym. There's this whole bank of TVs, and I was noticing these kind of strange-looking people, and I wasn't listening, but I came home and I asked my 17-year-old son about it, and he kind of told me what it was, that it's a show about people that have had bad experiences with plastic surgery. I know, and this is like entertainment somehow. I don't quite understand what's going on. But there was a woman, and then so I found out what it was. Then the next day I was back and I saw there was a woman looking in the mirror. She looked fine. She was not the most beautiful supermodel I've ever seen. She's probably about 50. She was by far, there was nothing wrong with her face, but I saw her looking in the mirror. And there was something in her belief that was showing her that there is something hideous looking back at her. And so she was going to pay a doctor to cut her face and change it to make her acceptable in her own sight. I don't preach against stuff. It's just not. Everybody's on their path. I really bless her. She's teaching me something. She's teaching me something about what we hold as important in our culture. And there's something wrong. But I'm not talking about making change out there. I'm like, where can I make the change here? I wasn't going to share this, but that same day at the gym, I'm like noticing that, and then I'm like on the little elliptical trainer, and I look over and I see myself, and my love handle is doing this little thing here. It's sort of like... And what I first thought was, that's bad. I'm wrong. Look over here again. Bless you. Bless my body in all of its imperfections. There was a false belief in that woman and many others, and there's actually a medical condition, a psychological condition disorder called body dysmorphic disorder, where people actually don't see themselves rightly. And what a great example that is of what I'm talking about. We don't see ourselves rightly. Some of us got spiritual dysmorphic disorder. We don't see ourselves rightly. And so we believe ourselves to be insufficient, wrong, something, and so we behave that way and are always seeking an answer outside of ourselves. The other thing that's kind of weird about the way this talk came to me today is that I plan these lesson titles months in advance often, and then when it comes time to work on it, like 2 or 3 weeks out, I just think about it and it comes. But this one, I could never remember my title. And I was like, what am I talking about on Memorial Day weekend? I don't remember. And then I'd go look at it and I'd forget again. And so I really didn't start working on this till this week. And in the meantime, I really wanted to talk about community. And it's like, but I'm talking about belief. How does that work? And I just kind of was like being with it. And finally, yesterday afternoon, it fell into place. Here's the deal. I've been here almost 5 years, and I love you. I just think, oh, by the way, you look fabulous. Let me just say, you're gorgeous. Don't change a thing.
We love you.
Thank you, Pam. I have seen dozens of people in my office, and they talk about their lives and their problems and what's going on, and I am convinced that we have an epidemic of loneliness in our world, and isolation. Toni Maheshwari is one of our members, and she has had a deep respect and love for Mother Teresa for many years, and she wrote to her and supported her ministry there in Calcutta, and Mother Teresa wrote back to her, and she knew that she's one of my spiritual sheroes too, and so Toni had made a copy of the letter that Mother Teresa wrote, and I could not find it yet. I was looking for it yesterday and again this morning. I moved offices when Reverend Jean Marie came on board, and I don't know where it is, but the gist of it is this. Mother Teresa said, "You in the West are suffering from an epidemic of loneliness and isolation." And she prays for us. So I think what that is, and I may be wrong about this, but if you look in poor cultures, particularly poor and agrarian cultures, ain't nobody got time to be lonely. And get out here and help. We're in survival mode. We got to work hard, and we're all together. We're working hard. But here, we live in a time and a place of great abundance, and I don't have to go till for you or build your barn, so I'm in my house and I'm doing my thing, and we've become isolated and lonely. And I believe under loneliness is a belief. I think there is a belief at work in many of us that we are unlovable. And what I want to offer to you today is the way that got healed in me was in spiritual community. Not this church, but another church when I was so broken when I got there. And people loved me. They accepted me when I did some weird things. I did not, I don't want to say, you do weird things too, don't judge me. Come on. Quirky human stuff, made mistakes, I mentioned that, and they loved me and they forgave me. I have this vision for our community, and we are already doing it in many ways. You know, we are a compassionate community, and there are people that are coming here and they're meeting other people and they're doing the healing of their lives right here, and many of you are not. We have folks who come late, leave early, and they've been coming for 20 years and don't know anybody. And I'm not judging you. I'm not. I'm just saying that if you're one of those people who's experiencing loneliness and isolation, stay and let us know you. On Wednesday night, we've started doing these prayer groups after service. It takes about 20, 25 minutes. And I look around, and there are several groups in the pyramid, and there are tears and there's laughter. People are sharing their lives with each other, and they're applying spiritual truth to their challenges, and they're getting healed, and they're getting friends. They're building community. I see some nodding from people in those groups right now. We have classes. That's where I did almost all of my healing, was in a classroom at that church in Dallas where I ended up. Took classes for years there, and there were those leading right up to ministerial school, there were 6 or 8 of us that took all of our classes together week in, week out for about 5 years. And they knew everything. I would show up, sometimes we'd show up to class and everybody would just fall apart. But most of the time, it was just 1 or 2 of us, and everyone else would just gather around and love. And healing took place. If you don't want to get all feely about it, I know some of us are more comfortable with our feelings, just volunteer. Meet people, get on a team here, let people know who you are. I have this vision of a vibrant, compassionate, caring community, and what keeps coming to me is like a weave of fabric. You know, like this old thing, you know, it's made up of thousands of individual threads, right? And any of those threads you could just break apart easily. But when you weave them together, there is strength and there is vitality. And the thing that I love about that metaphor of the weaving is that every single thread is both supporting and is supported. Let us know you. We're here for you. So I just want to close with an invitation to you. If you believe yourself, and maybe you're not even aware of it, to be unworthy of deep friendship, if you just want to experience that kind of intimacy and support, come. Come, let us get to know you. We will annoy you, and you will annoy us. That's what people do. My friend Kathy Hearn says that spiritual community is a place where people grow up all over each other. It's what we do. We'll annoy each other and we'll forgive each other. And we will grow. We will annoy less. We will be known and we will be loved. So if no one has told you today, I love you. God bless you.